dropping knowledge on GRAMBO grows. Talking about plants and how they go. Let's go. From seeds to the cure, we always smoke pure. Nothing but good vibes up in here. We blaze the ganja, keep it fire. GRAMBO grows, burning desire. Learn about cultivation, step by step. You can. I've got the negativity. Cannabis vibes up in here. GRAMBO grows, lines up here. I'm with you tonight.
There is nothing but good vibes up in here. Welcome to GRAMBO Grows. Guys, it's the late night smoke. Your last chance for all things smoking, growing, and token late on a Sunday night. It is my favorite time of the week. I hope it's part of your guys' favorite time of the week. I am feeling good. I am back from, as you guys know, had the kidney stone there last week, hung out with Ross and Jeff last week. Thank you guys for sharing that episode. Whenever you're hanging out with the guys who produce genetics, it's always a tricky thing out there. And you guys share that episode, and it didn't get buried by the ecosystem. So I thank you guys for that. It's a special one tonight. This is one of those ones, as growers, I'm going to encourage you guys, forget everything you know, and let's all just like check the grower ego, and let's just forget everything you know about growing, genetics, styles, everything, because there's some controversy coming tonight. I'm telling you, right off the bat. You guys know I'm not going to spoil the lead before we get there, but there is a lot to talk about tonight, and I am super stoked. It's been an awesome week hanging out. I've been hanging out with the extract seller Kyle, and guys, extract seller has launched. It's up. He's doing it. It's there. I was about to say, what are you guys smoking on in chat? Are you smoking on something better than me? I don't know if you are tonight, because I got something you can't get anywhere else. I've got he's got these terp pens. They're just terpenes, just fractionated terpenes. He lets jars. He'll get like, pound jars of BHO, like ridiculous level jars. Then they start to fractionate. You'll get like some crystalline stuff at the bottom, and you'll get a lot of the cannabinoids and THC in the middle. And then the top layer is just this pure terpene layer. Separates off the terps. It's no chemical extraction or anything like that. Weird. And he literally makes terp pens out of it, and you can just buy terps, and they're delicious. So I'm smoking some of this lemon tree pure terps, man. So you'll notice up in the top corner up here in the chat, I pinned my Instagram. You can type into Google extract seller, but you can't find it. It's the extract seller / secret menu. So you can either type in that extract seller in the com stuff in the secret menu, or you can go over to my Instagram. And you're going to want to follow me on Instagram, because we're doing some giveaways. I got a whole bunch of cool stuff. Always trying to grow my Instagram. I'm hella shadow banned over there. So all of the GramBorg members, and once again, shout out right off the bat, LJ Jones dropping the 5 gift subs. If you don't know what the GramBorg is, that's my private membership. It's where we talk about things I shouldn't talk about on the internet. Honestly, I was telling my guests tonight a little bit about, let them know. Put the poo emojis in chat, GramBorg. What are we talking about here? So thank you, LJ Jones, the godfather of the GramBorg, dropping it down. And it's $5 a month. There's Chonky Nugs throwing it out there at Josh Grambo. And so GramBorg members, Mo is feeling better. And I got a whole bunch of stuff over here that you can't say it on in polite company, but I'm giving away some stuff for you guys. And then I got some cheetah clips, awesome stuff over there. We got the root nerds coming on next week. I got some stuff coming on with the some of the seed starting kits. Oh, look at the poo emojis fly. If you know, you know. I shouldn't be telling these stories. I shouldn't tell them, but I'm a divorced stand-up comedian, YouTuber. It is what it is. Hey, Canna Mama, good to see you. It's crazy, man. So life is good. I'm not through the woods on the kidney stone. Thank you guys for all the kind wishes. It's still stuck in there. But instead of giving me love for the kidney stone, give love to High Plains Bud. I had the biggest kidney stone in the world, I thought, until he's got one twice as big as me, twice as big. My doctor sat down next to me like I was dying. He sits down. He's like, buddy, it's 6 millimeters and it's not going to be an easy one. And I was like, Jesus. And then High Plains Bud's like, yeah, I got one. It's 10 millimeters. I go, oh my effing Christ. So give love to HPB. He's the one going through it. It's tough out there. So guys, no more farting around. Let's get into it. Like I said, forget everything you knew about cannabis growing. There's it's like cell phones. The things we're going to get into tonight, it reminds me of cell phones. If you know, maybe like you think of your uncle and it's like, oh man, I fucking I still use a Razor phone. iPhones suck, and you're using an iPhone 1. And it's like, dude, I got a 22. I'm an Apple guy, so I don't know Apple stuff, but things progress, things get amazing, and things have changed. Yo, Huygen is in the house. Shout out to Huygen over there on Twitch. Make sure you go follow their Twitch account. They're live every other Sunday over on Twitch. They got knocked around by the YouTube thing. I'm a YouTube's in my blood, baby. I started my first YouTube account in 2006. I'm ride or die with this, but I am going to start simulcasting over to Twitch. So shout out to Huygen. Go find them over on Twitch. Let's grow that community over there. They've been pretty cannabis friendly over on Twitch. So let's go support them. So tonight I have the reigning heavyweight champion of cannabis growing, verified. This man's got more gold than old dirty bastard. I'm telling you, it's ridiculous. He's won not every event he's going to, but he's won some of the biggest events. And we were going to go to the Autoflower Cup out there this year, and me and Scotty, and then Life had the kidney stone. Life goes crazy. Scotty got some of the scary flu going, and it's just we weren't going to make it. So we were bummed out to get out there. But he's just killing it. And I want to talk about how it is that you grow the best weed in the world, and how he starts is probably going to surprise a lot of you. But some of you guys know who he is, and all you are going to know who he is after this. So this is my buddy, Chubbs. You might know him as
What's
Chubb.
up?
How do you say Chubkiss? I always see that's your Instagram name.
Chubb Scars. It was actually my old Xbox gamer tag, and when I made an Instagram account, Chubbs is more common than you would actually think. So I'm like, all right, well, I got to make something I'm not going to forget. And then I had the Xbox, username or whatnot for years. I'm like, fuck it, I'll just keep it Chubbs Scars, make it simple. But no, Chubbs is actually my family nickname. I've been called Chubbs since I was a baby. It first started as Chubby Cheeks because it looked like I was storing food in my cheeks for the winter, and now, when my family calls me by my real name, I'm out the other way because I know I'm in deep shit. So it's right. Chubbs pretty much, but I added the Scars just because I figured it wasn't going to be taken on the IG or any other platforms.
Oh, I get it, man. My name on the PlayStation Network is Weed Christmas Tree. Because GRAMBO was taken, Josh GRAMBO was taken, like everything was taken. I was like, dude, I think there's a glitch. And I typed in Weed Christmas Tree, and it's like accepted. And I go, fuck. Well, now that's me for the rest of my life.
I even tried to get a custom license plate that said Chubbs, and the fucking DMV wrote me back in there and said it was a derogatory thing. And I'm like, I've never referred to my thing as a Chubbs, but I'm like, I get where you're coming from. So, okay, I'll come at it a different angle next time, So I still haven't applied again, but I'm like, how can I configure it to where it'll work? Maybe change the B's to 8s so that way they don't know or something.
I'll tell you right off the bat what they mean. I'm getting a Chubb looking at all this hardware behind you. You are, as I said, potentially the most winning. The Cannabis Cup is a trademark brand, but we'll say cups of cannabis. You might be the most winning grower in history, my friend. First of all, congrats on you won a week and a half ago at the American Autoflower Cup. You won out in Germany. Give me a Botafides. In the last little bit, you've won almost everything, right?
I want to say in the past 6 months, I think I've taken home 6. 7 actually. 7. I won Best of Flower with the Apricot Auto in, where was that? That was in, I believe, the Czech Republic or Prague. I was in Prague at the Universe Cup. And then at the Calyx Art Club, I actually took first and second in hash and rosin categories. And that was in the Czech. And then just last night, like I said, we took home 2. I took best overall for my pound cake flower in the American Auto Flower Cup. And then we got the best rosin Apricot Auto, baby, 420 Fast Buds. And I couldn't be more stoked, because I tell everyone I've grown it. I grew that strain as a tester before it was even released. And I knew from the moment I'd grown it, I was like, man, I'll start it off. I had an apricot tree growing up. So I know what a fresh picked apricot tastes like, because it was one of my favorite things to do when they were in season. I'd climb that son of a bitch and eat them until my stomach hurt, you know. And when they came out with that strain, it was the closest thing I've ever tasted that was that close to a fresh bite of a fresh apricot. I'm like, that. And again, I'm no scientist behind it, how they get these terpenes to get, you know, and just to get it that close was absolutely mind blowing for me. And so it's always been a favorite. I've grown it many times, and I said it since day one. I'm like, this is a champion. And like I said, I won best of flower a couple months back, now best in rosin. Now let's go best in hash, and let's just make it a global champion.
That's amazing. And so this is where it goes, where I said that not for me, there's no controversy for me, but there's controversy in the world. As you're going through, it's not like, well, okay, so the American Autoflower Cup, that's an autoflower competition, but you're not, all these cups aren't just coming from auto competitions.
Oh, no.
You're
like when I took best of flower, it was a full on, I was up against photo periods and some of the best in Europe, you know? I mean, so for me, it's absolutely gratifying to come up against the big boys that think, you know, photo periods are superior. And, you know, and I've always said, you know, you could put a autoflower flower up against a photo period flower. And to me, I couldn't tell the difference just from my naked eye. I don't know if there's a test that they're able to do or anything. And I got asked that question yesterday, you know, from actually Adam Ill. You know, he was asking me if I think I put some rosin up against somebody and put it as, you know, next to some photo period rosin, if you would be able to tell. And I go, I honestly don't think they can. Not one bit.
They got the Adam Ill presenting the cup to Chubbs there. One of the only people that I get starstruck by. You know, I'm just like you guys. When I meet my favorite cannabis contract, like, you know, I'm friends with Adam Dunn now, so like that was one of my favorite guys back in the day. And Adam Ill, he's on my checklist. So anyone out there, if you're friends with Adam Ill, tell him Grambo Grows wants him. I don't have his email. I'm gonna DM him on Instagram, see if I can get him on here. But it's impressive.
But you know, I mean, with the auto flowers, back to what my secret, I keep it simple, man. I really do.
Well, let's just right off the bat, let's just say, because for anyone that didn't catch the lead, this man is winning all these cups by growing auto flowers. 420 Fast Buds, popular brand, you know, top 3 auto flower producers out there by volume and by quality.
Yeah, I'd say most of mine are auto flowers. You know, I've won a few with the fast flowering, and I won a couple this year with the feminized strains. So they're all cup winners to me, but I primarily do auto flowers 100%.
Yes, and so that is very, very fascinating. It flies in the face of everything you thought you knew. That's why I was talking about the iPhone 1. Me and Chubbs were laughing. It's like, yeah, if you and your uncle grew autos in 2009, you're like, they suck or whatever. Bro, the gear has changed. It is legit. So how is it that you how'd you get started on auto flowers? What is do you go, how far back do you go? What made you switch over? What do you like about them? Let's
you know, I've been growing autos almost a decade now, and anybody that knows me, you know, I started growing. I'm a parent. My son has epilepsy, and we went the pharmaceutical route first, and it just wasn't the road that we wanted to take. It just wasn't going to be where we wanted to lead our son down. My wife having a nursing background, thank God, you know, and she was explaining to me by the time he's 25, it looked like he had cirrhosis of the liver and stuff like that because of the way his body's digesting and, you know, processing those meds. I've smoked since I was a teenager. I mean, I'll be real, 12, 13 years old, I was already puffing. But I never thought I would grow it. Never, ever. Like, I mean, I threw a couple seeds in my buddy's backyard, you know, in high school, and they'd always get to write about flower. And then I'd come home from school, and of course, his mom found it, and it'd be hanging over the fence, and I'd be getting lectured, you know. So I never grew anything. Only gardening experience I ever had was pruning rose bushes as a kid with my grandma, you know, going out there 6 a.m. pruning rose bushes. And fuck, even back then I hated this shit, you know. And when I decided to go down I'm going to become a grower, and my wife told me, I told her the same thing. I'm like, if you can make the meds, I'll grow and become the best grower I can for us, you know. And I didn't know. I did research, and I found auto flowers, found fast buds, and I was like, you know what? That's right up my alley, especially just like anybody that takes meds. You know, your body will get acclimated and adjust. It gets used to it. So just like when you have a cold, you're not going to just sit there and take Tylenol repetitively. You're going to switch it up, throw some Robitussin, you know what I mean? And just throw different stuff in there because you don't want your body. So with the auto flowers and the quick turnaround times, it just felt like a match made in heaven. Never grown anything before, really. So I didn't know any difference. I mean, when I started off, I had a 6.5 tint 6.5 foot tent that was gifted to me. Guy that was getting out of the industry had a bunch of equipment. He goes, I got a storage unit full. And I'm like, all right, when do I get there? I'll get the equipment. So I started off running HPS lights, you know, and through 20, I think it was 20, 25 autos inside of that tent. And I told myself my first grow, if I could get one joint, that's what I've told myself. One joint. If I can get one joint off of any of these plants to smoke and just say that I went from seed to harvest and I grew it and I was able to do it, it'd give me the confidence I needed to get to my next ones. Well, now fast forward 10 years, you know, I've grown every fast bud strain that's ever been released and unreleased, you know, and they've come a long way, let me tell you, because I'm in the thousands of the plants that I've grown in auto flowers, you know, and it's just amazing how the time, you know, it's crazy. Like most 90% of their strains will go seed to harvest in 70, 75 days. And you're thinking about that. You're like, photo period, you're vegging for 3 to 4 weeks. Then you still got an 8-week, you know, 10-week flower period. And that plant's going to get big. Don't get me wrong. Nothing knocking photos. I love growing photos in the outdoor season. But when it comes to indoor, I like the selection, and that's where the auto flowers, I can throw multiple strains into one tent. I have that quick turnaround to where I just have medication always on deck of fresh flower.
Love it. And so without leaving everyone hanging, did you get enough to roll a joint out of that harvest?
Obviously, you know, I got a lot more than a joint, you know, and I was so stoked. I couldn't believe it, you know, because they didn't get the biggest, you know, you got those little 1-footers, you know, and nice fat cola on top. And fuck, I was like a kid in a candy store because, again, smoking my whole life, I'm like, man, it just looked phenomenal for being homegrown. You know, I remember buddies pulling out homegrown back in the day, and it was like, dude, shit wasn't cured right. Well, now that I know it, I'm like, dude, that shit wasn't cured right. You know, it was all moist. It was like, give me a paper bag so I can leave it in there for a day. And, you know, so it's been crazy that an amazing journey that this plant has taken me on, all for just, like I said, doing what any parent would do for their kid and just want them to be a happy and healthy life.
I literally can't imagine. I've got a 6-year-old girl. If you're not people, it's like one of those things. I always equate parenthood to like psychedelic experience. You can like think, you know, what like taking 5 hits of acid is like. You like, oh yeah, I know what it's like. Yeah, don't. And you can think, you know, what having a kid is like, but you don't until you have one. It is you. You literally take a bullet for these kids. I can't imagine moving heaven and earth. So being able to,
oh man, 100%,
kid, bro,
100%. Like I said, I mean, for years, you know, I signed my son out of school every day because you can't administer meds on federal grounds, and I respect it. You know, I'm not one to. I'm a stickler when it comes to rules, you know. I don't care what you do as long as you do what you're supposed to and not trying to do anything shady, you know what I mean, to a point. So I did what I had to do just like any parent. I signed him out of school. I would drive around the block. I'd administer meds. I'd walk them back into school. And everybody praised us for what we were doing because they knew exactly what we were doing. But at the same time, I'm not trying to rub feathers or, you know, rub people the wrong way. I'm trying to pave stones for future parents that are behind me, not to get the looks and the stigma that, oh my God, you're giving your kid cannabis. You know, no, this is a life-saving plant. And I'd give it to anybody that sits there and has to go through a mile or a step in my shoes, because at the end of the day, if you are a parent, like you said, you'll move heaven and earth. You'll take a bullet. You'll do whatever you have to do. Thank God I live in a legal state to where it is full medically legal. And that's what I tell anybody. If you want to go down that path, before you even start and think about it, get legal. Go get, you know, your significant other, your kid, whatever, who is that's going to be administering and taking those meds, get them medically legal. So that way you don't got those, you know, 3-letter people coming after you and shit like that, because that's the last thing you want to do. And again, coming back to those rules. So as long as your I's are dotted and your T's are crossed, you ain't got nothing to worry about.
Well, I love it. I respect it. It's a heartwarming story, and that's a great place for us to start off. So I want to pick your brain throughout, like I said, all things seed to harvest, but we'll get to like your actual like hands-on growing stuff. Give me the 20,000 foot overview. Like, you're obviously doing something right. You're growing very, very quality flower, no matter how it is that you know, like once you get past the seed stage, and you know, once you past veg, a plant's a plant. You're kind of doing what you're going to do with it. What's quality? What's your theory on quality? What makes what is your theory on cannabis quality? Obviously effect. Are you a big taste guy? What do you think is it that is winning you all these things? Just give me your things on quality. Yield,
you know, when it comes to the competitions, there's three things that you're going to need to have. You know, you're obviously going to have that bag of pill. We're all human. We all shop with our eyes. So that's the first thing you're going to have. You know, if it doesn't look good, your mind's already going to tell you, and you're going to have just that in the back of your mind, like, oh no, you know what? Maybe it'll smell good. I hope it does. But you already have that stigma of, oh, it doesn't look very good. So first and foremost, it has to look just phenomenal. Second is going to be smell. It's just like, say you were blind and you walked into a restaurant and it smelled like shit. The chances of you sitting down and eating are slim to none, you know? But if you're like, wow, this is just tickling my nose hairs, I just can't wait to taste this. Chances are, next step, you're going to really enjoy it. Then it comes to effect for me, you know, and smokability. Effect and smokability go in hand, because especially when you're in the competitions, you got so many samples you're judging. After about the fourth sample, they're all going to affect you the same. You're fucked up. You know, so then it comes down to the smokability. Is it a smooth smoke? And I'm big on refire. You know, believe it or not, I'll put my blunt out halfway, give it 20 minutes, come back and fire it back up just to see if that taste still transpires all the way through to the end. Or there's had some where I'll fire it back up and it tastes crappy, you know, and you're like, okay, that's cool. I just know to finish that one, you know, just don't let it go out. Right. But no, I mean, even those things right there are going to be the most important. And then it comes into the environmental factors and everything else. Mad shout out to Canatrol, because I dry and cure most 90% of my flowers and my rosin in my Canatrols, you know? So right. It always comes back to being the parent, you know, being a parent. There's not a price you'll pay for peace of mind. Let me tell you, you guys know that. I know that. So with the Canatrol units, it gives me that peace of mind and knowing my temperatures are going to be constant. I can set my parameters to where I want it, and it just keeps it dialed in. Again, I'm no rocket scientist or anything like that. And obviously there's a lot of them out there, and there's great products, great techniques, great technology out there, and it's all at our fingertips. It's just a matter of what do you want to use and what do you find to make that winning recipe for you. There's a few things that I've kept the same throughout my whole almost duration of the grow. You know, when I first started, everything but the kitchen sink was getting thrown in that tent. You know, I mean, let's just go wild with it and see. But I made every experience a learning experience. You know, I found out where some work amazing, you know, the plants respond amazing. And then I found out where some were like, holy shit, I'll never do that again. But unless I tried and actually experimented, I would have never known. Again, I'm not one to let me hear what my buddy's uncle told me about what this strain did back for him 20 years ago. And it's like, you know what? Soils changed, lighting's changed, environmental factors change. At the end of the day, yes, 20 years ago and now, we do still have the same end goal. We just want to grow fire. But the technology and everything we have at our fingertips is endless nowadays. It's just amazing and phenomenal what is actually out there to help you and improve the craft that you're coming with, you know. And back to the keeping it simple, you know. I start my seeds off in a shot glass. I've been old school ever since day one. I just started my next run, 80 seeds in a shot glass. Well, 4 strains of 20 each, give or take, and 100% germination rate. You know, I let them soak for anywhere from generally about 24 to 48 hours. I don't like going after that just because I feel they get soggy, you know, and I don't want no 3-inch taproot or anything. No, I'm not trying to do all that. You know, I just want the shell to loosen. Yeah. Sitting there making a big ass hole so you can get the taproot down and then So, you know, after they've soaked, I got like a medicine giver, basically a 5 ml medicine giver. It's got a little tip on the front, and that's how far I push my seed into the soil. I pop that in there, pop the seed right in there, and then basically I want to say within 72 hours, if I do not have a sprout, I'm going digging because there's something going on. It should have sprouted already. There may be something that's stopping it, a piece of perlite, you know, a piece of wood, anything. I use Roots Organic 707 soil. I've used it for years. It works amazing with auto flowers. I go from seed to basically generally week 2 or 3 before I even have to incorporate nutrients just because of what's already in the soil. So absolutely the plants love it. So I've learned, find a medium that works great for you and you know how to work that medium, because you don't want to start chasing your tail right from the beginning, because then you're just sitting there setting yourself up to, fuck, I hope it goes right this way. I hope it goes right that way. Whereas you find that medium and you find something that works for you, then it's just a matter of, okay, what else can I add a little bit at a time to just perfect it? You know what I mean? Exactly. So with my lighting, I just switched my whole lighting system up. I ran HLGs for years. I just switched over to Sandlight. Amazing company, you know. They're out of Austria. So, I mean, couldn't be happier. I've seen them at different expos. I know people that have used them and won cups numerous times. So it's like, all right, hey, you know what? My lights are getting old. Don't get me wrong, mad respect to HLG. But again, as times change, it's like, okay, let's try some different things, you know. And I had the 650Rs, you know, the big quantum boards. So you got a nice 2 foot by 2 foot heat shield sitting in there somewhere, you know. And the sand lights, they're nice, and there's just bars going across, so you get a lot more airflow, especially with the amount of plants I grow. You know, you want to keep that airflow going. I mean, I shoot for at least, you know, 40 to 60% dry back daily.
Okay. Even with autoflowers, huh? That's fascinating.
Oh yeah, you know, I mean, I run 3-gallon pots.
In the face of common knowledge.
Yeah, you know, and I do almost everything the same as I would do with a photo period. The only thing I do differently with the autos is when I incorporate newts, I run the Athena blended line. Amazing line. I've ran it for years. You know, it's just time and time again, it just shows how dominant that the plants respond to it. Before that, I ran General Hydroponics, the 3-part Flora series, and I had great results. You know, I've won cups with it, but I decided to switch to Athena, and I realized when I switched to that, I wasn't getting the issues as far as, you know, you'll see the little cow mag issues. You'll see the purple, you just certain symptoms wouldn't be as dominant. They wouldn't even show, you know, unless you didn't feed them enough. And that's what I really liked, is just the way the plants intook it. So I figured with the Roots Organic, the new Athena nutrients, you're just kind of keeping those things real simple to where, all right, it's a plant and a weed at the end of the day. I just got to keep it alive. But now, just like your kid, you know, all right, tonight, I'm not going to just give you a steak. You got to have salad with it. We got to have a balanced nutrition, you know? So I treat them just like they are. They're living things. I let them tell me if they want more, you know. You know, I do one for all as I do for the one. I don't treat anything different. You know, like I said, I got 4 strains going right now. They will all get the same amount of feed. They will all get the same amount of nutrients. You know, everything's the same.
That is proof. I mean, you're just chopping down. You know, there's some people out in the world have a wrap on autoflowers. They don't like to touch them. Some people don't touch the Athena specifically. A lot of my friends really poo-poo on them quite a bit. And you're proving the pudding, man. F that. So
100%, you know, 100%.
Keeping it simple, stupid. You opened with keeping it simple. You know, you're the second guy. Another Grow Fire Farms, a friend of mine. He won two cups back to back in the Dude Grows Cup, and when I was asking him, he opened with the same thing, keeping it simple. We're noticing a theme here, aren't we, guys? That over loving your plants. Jaron from New Millennium, he'll always say, we've developed this new kind of saying for a Gabe from Jug Dealers has just started running a commercial grow up in Michigan, and they actually keep track of what they call touch time. How much were you touching these? And so, like, in touch time's bad. Most of us look at growing plants like, oh, I got to get in there. I got to be in there. No, minimizing touch time, minimizing the amount of love. It's kind of like tough love for your kid, right? It's like, like, you know, they don't want to get up in the snow and go to wrestling practice.
Oh, no. Like I said, I got 4 of them, so I feel bad for my 4th one. He falls over. I'm like, you all right? Yeah, I don't see no blood. Get up, son. You know, whereas my first one, my daughter, you know, I'd be running over there. Oh my God, are you okay? Let me brush your knee off and coddle you a little bit. And again, you know, that's why even with the airflow, you know, don't be afraid to pump your fans up a little bit. All you're going to do is stimulate strong stems, you know, and they just, at the end of the day, we're mimicking what Mother Nature does indoor. And everybody will tell you, I'll say it too, you know, those outdoor terps for some reason are always just super loud on my outdoors. And I have to believe it's got to do with everything that the sun and just Mother Nature throws at it. So I try to throw at everything I can. And even with the autos, you know, I've tested them every way you could possibly imagine. I mean, I'm talking cold test to get my tint down to 45 degrees and just see what the hell they'll do for a week. And I ran a grow last summer, actually. Fuck, I had my tint up to 115 just to see what they would do, you know, because again, I want to test them and I want to be able to say that, hey, you know what? If you're a new grower, I've thrown almost everything at these things that I can possibly imagine. I can tell you some of them will never skip a beat. And it's like, damn, that's a hardy son of a bitch. And then there's other ones where it's like, okay, you're a little more temperamental. You know, the buds didn't get as dense, but at the end of the day, they still grew just fine. But you could tell that, you know, they did not like the environmental factors that were in place. So it's just like with everybody else, you know, you want that 75-degree temperature kind of constant all the way through. Those are my daytime temperatures. When the lights are on, I run about 72 to 75. Lights off, I'm going 65 to 68. Generally, say the last 2-3 weeks of flower, I'll drop that son of a gun down to the high 50s, you know, just to pull out. I love seeing those fall colors on them, you know, and you could pull out the purples, the reds on strains you would never even knew had it just by doing some temperature manipulation. It's one of my funnest techniques I love doing.
So then you're coming in, and what's your irrigation strategy and pot size? Are you mentioned hella drybacks, so you must be growing in smaller pots.
I run a 3-gallon fabric pots, you know, just same brand. I think it's called Guardsman or something. I order them off of Amazon by the 20 pack. You know, I run fresh pots every grow. I figure, you know, I don't want to wash them, and it's just easy enough with the cost of them. I mean, for $1 a pot, it's like, come on, man. Even if you incorporate that, the soil and the lighting and everything it takes to grow that, you can't go buy that ounce in a shop for what you grew it for. So don't be stingy, you know, you got to pay to play. So I run 3-gallon fabric pots. I've tested 1 gallons. I've done 3s, obviously 5s. I've done 7s, and you'll get that anomaly that just takes off on you, you know, and you're glad you had it in the 5 gallons. But for me, it was the bottom amount of the soil. You know, I'd pull my plants out when they're done just to see what the root mass looks like, because is what it looks like up top. I want to see what it looks like at the bottom. So I'll shake off all the soil, you know,
get the dry pockets in the bottom, especially people don't do any
you know, you got about 2 or 3 inches of dry, just soil. And it's like, I'm like, dude, if it never even reached that point, then why am I putting the soil in the pot? You know, I want the dry back. I want those roots to search. So I've ran 3 gallons for years, you know, indoor, especially I run my 3 gallons. Outdoor, but I'm running photos. I do 5s or bigger, you know, obviously, but with the indoor. And then as far as, you know, the the pots, and then what do you ask?
And then the irrigation strategy. Are you dripping? You're obviously
hand water, everyone, baby. Hand water.
What? Okay. How many times a day are you watering?
Once a day.
Just once. Okay.
Once a day.
So you're watering. Do you like when the lights come on, midday, lights go off? Some people say
I mean,
the plants aren't awake.
When I first start to grow, I generally go for lights on. You know, right about 15 minutes after the lights on, I water. As the grow progresses and as they drink more and more, so on, it doesn't always end that way. You know, sometimes I got to water, you know, I'll come. My biggest thing too is don't be afraid to lift your pot. I lift my pot before I plant a seed. Well, I don't anymore. I know what the soil weighs like because I've ran the same soil. I've ran the same pots. So I know what it feels like, what it should be when it's dry. So I'll pick up a pot. When in doubt, pick up a pot, you know, because I would rather pick it up and be like, okay, the bottom of that pot still feels super heavy. Obviously, it's not drinking enough. Let's just hold off a couple hours. I'll come back, you know, 3 or 4 hours later, and okay, now you're a little more thirsty, because again, overwatering is just as bad as underwatering, in my opinion.
Yes, that's a big thing we preach over.
As any grower knows, getting that watering down, that technique is one of the hardest techniques to get down and know, all right, I'm giving it enough to where it's not going to be sitting there starving for it, but at the same time, I'm not drowning those roots.
It sounds like you're describing my dating life, my friend. Make them hungry, but not. All right, moving on. We're not to the 45.
Exactly, you know, got to keep them coming back for more.
You got to keep them coming back, keep them searching, baby. And so, all right, so you're in so you said 3 gallons usually is your
3 gallon. I mean, 90% of the time I run 3 gallons.
And so you're vegging in those and then just flipping those into flour. How do you start?
I sprout in the final pot. I sprout in my final pot. You know, I do know people that transplant.
Mm-hmm. Would you do that?
It's just not for me.
Autos, or is that just an auto strategy?
Just autos. My photo periods, I do transplant. You know, I start them in a solo cup and I work their way up. It just depends. I mean, if I have extra 1 gallon pots, I'll go from a solo to a 1 gallon. I like to get that nice little root ball before I throw them outdoor. Again, I only grow just up to now, I just set up another tent to where I'm going to start running photos indoor year round because I enjoy the photos. I like the selection, you know, I mean, you find that winner and you're like, okay, I mean, I'm an In-N-Out lover. I can go eat In-N-Out burgers every day, you know, don't get me wrong. So it's one of those, if I found a clone of that, it just keep going. So for me to be able to sit there and kind of really pheno hunt through certain photos that I actually really enjoy, I can't wait because, you know, I'll throw 100 of them in the 4x8 and just kind of narrow it down to 20 and then narrow that down to 3 and just kind of keep them. And let's see what these things can do and see if we get that continuous, just constant of, I want to focus more on the washing. So that way I can do that and just keep a constant cycle of that going, as well as setting up another tent to do it with autos. So that way I can compare back to can you tell the difference between an auto rosin and a regular photo period rosin? No. Yeah, but yeah. I'm always one I don't like to hear what my uncle, you know, my buddy's uncle has to say. I'll just rather trial and error myself. And the only thing I have to lose is a little bit of time, but the knowledge we gain is invaluable.
Love it, man. And then as you say that, my buddy, our buddy Extract Seller Kyle just texted me. He wanted to make sure everyone knows rosin's on sale. If you guys want that Extract Seller rosin, we just moved into, he and I are starting this essentially a private consumption lounge in Denver that's going to be hash based exclusively, so it's not open to the public. We got a hash event coming up. It's not announced yet, but Bubble Man of Bubble Bag Infamy, we put on the hash event, so we're super stoked. We're have to get you down for one of these events here. I'm going to put you on the guest list, Chubbs.
100%, man. I'd love to showcase some of mine. And that's the thing, you know, it's just like growing. Every grow we do, every extraction I do, I try to make it a learning experience because at the end of the day, we're just trying to be the best that we can. And again, it's like I tell my kids, never be afraid of failure. I'll fail as many times as it takes. It just tells me that's one way it didn't work out. Try it a different way. Yes. We all know the definition of insanity. That's doing the same shit over and over and thinking you're going to get different results. To where me, it's like, you know what? I will try it every way.
I save little memes on my phone, and literally it's like 20 minutes ago, I saved this meme. If you were 30 failures away from your goal, how fast would you want to fail? Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, don't look at it like it's a failure, man.
I read a story, I don't know, it was a while back now, but it was like about Thomas Edison, you know, the guy that invented the light bulb. And it was like, did you know he failed 1,000 times before he got that right? And if you just think about that, I mean, we have fucking light bulbs in everywhere, every part of this world. So just imagine if he failed. It's like, come on, man. Never let failure discourage you from actually trying to achieve your goals and your dreams.
It's not actually a failure until you quit. That's it.
Yep.
That's it. You haven't failed until then. And the default behavior is giving me stuff. Shut the fuck up, Grambo. Just texted me. No, so once again, I posted like right up here. You guys will see. I pinned my Instagram up there. If you guys are just joining, there's a link in my stories for Extract Seller rosin. The boy is launched, and I don't get any money from it. I just do a good friend of mine starting a thing I actually believe in. So go over to my stories, click on there, follow, and make sure you get in on the giveaways that are coming. And while you are going over there to follow at Josh Grambo, make sure you go over and follow Chubbs. It's Chubbs is it's the way you can actually find him. We're all shadow banned, so you have to type it in all the way in order to find him. But follow Chubbs over there and follow at Josh Grambo. We got a bunch of giveaways going next week. It's going to be crazy. So stay tuned.
And the nice part is, you know, I don't know. I run Grow Diaries. If you go to growdiaries.com, you know, I run diaries on every one of my strains that I do. So if anyone's ever interested, you're more than welcome. I'm just you find me under Chubbs there, and 90% of the diaries and grows I've ever done, you know, you'll find there. I take a lot of pride in it. I do weekly updates, so you can see that week to week growth, because again, I'll redo strains over and over again and see the comparisons. And like I said, I'll put them under different environmental factors just to see how they work under cold or hot, you know. And unless you're trying and actually documenting that, data logging it, how do you know? Again, I can remember a lot of shit, but if I sit there and tell you, oh, this is the way my grow went 5 grows, I'd be lying to you, you know? So it's a good resource for me to have and just go back and look at and be like, all right, this is the way they were looking in this week. What did I do? How much was I feeding? What was I feeding? You know, and so on and so forth.
That's so cool. Like you can go through, like like hypothetically, if I got some genetics that you were winning with, I could go back and find exactly what you did verbatim. That is pretty sick,
week
my
for
friend.
week.
And after all his wins here, he's celebrating with a delicious tobacco black and mild, a very fat
Black and mild here.
And you're damn good roll, my friend. God damn it. And so
yeah, not bad, huh?
Yes.
I usually give my wife all the credit, but I actually rolled this one real quick while she was making dinner. So I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm pretty proud, you know. Usually mine are all fucked up looking. They smoke decent, but all fucking pregnant or fucking patches on them and shit.
Yeah. So then as we're going in, it's just meat and potatoes so far. What's your flower strategy with the like there's a lot of different people that believe a lot of different kind of like, oh, you like Scotty from Dude Grows, he's been getting into the schwazzing technique. He loves to schwazy those fucking plants, and he's been getting great results from it. I imagine you're not doing that with auto flowers. What's the secret sauce? Once you flip into flower, veg is you're doing a lot of crop steering during veg. Are you a trellis guy? Are you staking? What's going to get your average grower?
I Christmas tree it, you know. I mean, I don't do a lot of training. I used to, like I said, years back, I've tried the LST, the high stress training, you know, the topping, the mainlining. I've done it all. For me now, the only techniques that I do is I do a nice defoliation right around week 3 and week 6, you know, but I'll start lollipopping right around week 3, right? Generally, I hate to do it during that pre-flower stretch because I feel like sometimes it slows them down a little bit. So if I haven't caught it in that time, you know, usually right around week 2 to 3, I'll take them up about 2 or 3 nodes, just because a lot of that undergrowth, unless you're running under canopy lighting, it's just not going to be feasible. You're going to be wasting energy that you could focus on main tops. So I've learned to just, and again, I'm not one to just cut. I don't like to cut it. You know, I'm like, fuck it, just let it grow the way it is. You know, it's done it for thousands of years and didn't have any issues, but I try now. I do lollipop and defoliation. That's about it, you know, and right around week 3, I'll defoliate, you know, if it hasn't gone too far into pre-flower, lollipop as well. And then right around week 6, I'll defoliate again, taking off a lot of the major fan leaves, the one that are on the main stalk, just because all that energy that is getting hit by those and all that it's blocking, I'm not looking for any upward growth. So the leaves that are on the actual flowers and the side branches, I feel is totally enough. So I take those off right from the start. And not a whole lot. Like I said, I generally the highest I'll go is maybe the 5th or 6th node up and keep it pretty level all the way across, you know, and defoliate here and there, taking off a branch or taking off a major fan leaf, you know. Other than that, not a whole lot, you know, just watching them.
Are you a believer in any of the charts? Do you F with VPD? Are you cued into any of that sort of stuff? You just grow by looks?
I used to do PPFDs and pull out my phone with the apps and shit, but I haven't bought the diffuser, you know. And again, if I got my lights on 30% and those fucking leaves are flat out like a solar panel, I don't need a phone's app to tell me, hey, they're doing good, you know. Or if I'm seeing, especially with the auto flowers, it's amazing. I was in LA and Hollywood all weekend, you know, so when I left, my sprouts were only like 2 days old. So I'm like, all right, it'll be interesting to see, you know, when I come back, what they look like, because it's just crazy the amount of growth that you get day to day. And that's one of my funnest things with auto flowers is, you know, you go to work, come back the next day to check your grow, and you're like, holy shit, where did that whole set of leaves come from? You know, and it's not just a little, it's a whole set of leaf. You're like, damn, dude.
Yeah, I always feel like if I were ever to leave for a week in my grow, it's like a soap opera. You know, I come back and I go, I don't know, like who's hungry, who's thirsty, who's been doing good. I'm so lost. It's like a different animal. They grow. That's the thing about the schwazzing. When you do it, you look at it and you just go. I always think of like Schmeagol and fucking Lord. He's like, stupid hobbits, you ruined it, you know. And then you come back 48 hours later and it's bushier than when you started. Plants, it's a weed, baby. It's a weed. And so, what about humidity? What about temperature and humidity? What's your thoughts?
Humidity,
on that?
You know, depending, like right now, they're in week 1. Fuck, my humidity's at 75. You know, I mean, that sumbitch is like a rainforest in there. I can tap the side walls and have drops of water falling off the roof.
Oh, all right, I like that. And then you're bringing it down as.
But I also don't use those. You know, I don't put a solo cup on the top of my pot or anything. But I also have a dehumidifier in there, so if it gets above 75, it'll kick on and keep it right around there constant. You know, and that's the thing, you know, is if you can create the perfect growing environment, those plants are going to do what they're bred to do and grow. That's just it, you know. And so temperature right now, because they're in week 1, I try to keep it around 72 to 75. I'll go as far as 80 just to kind of keep the soil a little warmer. The roots like it a little bit better. But as they get a little further along, I'll drop it down. I try to keep it anywhere from 72, 70 to 75 is my safe range, especially with the lights on. Lights off, 65, 70. Anyway, even if you're going down to even the mid, 60 to 65 is still fine. Just depends. I don't like going down that low early on in veg, maybe later into flower. So generally right around, it just depends. I mean, all the way throughout the whole veg cycle, I would say keep it right around 70, 75. You're fine in the day, and then 60, 65 at night, and you're perfect.
Wow. And so as the weeks go on, are you bringing that down? That sounds pretty crazy high.
Humidity wise, yes. My humidity drops every week. Every week they go, by the time they're in flower, it won't get above 65. I will not allow it to, I've had powder mold before, so I know exactly, it's one of those things where it's like, fuck, man, I've scrapped whole grows because I'm like, all right. And again, had no idea the fan wasn't working when I wasn't in there watching. And that's where the attentiveness comes in. What you put in is what you're going to get out. I mean, I'm in my grow a lot of the time. So, I mean, I try to let the plants do the speaking for me, and just like with anything, most problems can be fixed before they become a big fucking issue.
Stitch in time saves 9, as my grandma used to say. Yes, exactly. One of my public service announcements that I really try to get out there is the danger of smoking molds. Man, if you smoke powdery mildew, if you smoke botrytis spores and things like that, that stuff gets in your lung. You can't flush it out. There's no antibiotic to get rid of it. It is literally in your system. And if you're immune compromised, bro, it can be the thing that literally undoes your life. So throwing out a crop is not the end of the world, y'all. This has been a GRAMBO Grows staple. Do not risk it. Do not smoke moldy bud ever, 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 ever. You better be. I'd rather you smoke mites, Christopher. I'd rather you smoke mite shit than molds. Mite shit is gross, not deadly.
That's one of those things. I'm the same way. I don't play with it because I do medically. I know every bit that goes in there, and it's just no. There's not a chance in hell. As soon as I see it, that whole grow is getting scrapped. I'm bleaching the whole tent. Everything's getting cleaned and disinfected. And then, all right, let's make that a very learning lesson because we don't want that to happen again.
Yes. So as we've gone through, I've, literally you primed the whole thing. You're like, keep it simple. Nothing is shocking. You primed your genetics. You sourced your genetics in a way that you know exactly what you want and exactly what you're going to get. You've set up your environment in a way that you know exactly when it's going to happen, what it's going to do, and all the parameters are dialed. So if that's just meat and potatoes, I'm getting the sense that we're the real quality of the Chubbs award-winning factory that you got going on over there is the harvest, the dry, and the cure. I'm getting that sense. What's your thoughts about that? Is that where the quality comes in?
I think actually the quality is all in the genetics. I'll be straight up because, man, I just actually built my full-on cold room and dry room to where I could hang it. The canitrols work amazing. I use those 90% of the time. But before I had all that, I've won cups hanging my shit off my, just in my garage and think, it'd be 90 degrees and fucking plants would dry in 3 days, and don't get me wrong, it's not the correct parameters I want. It's not the ideal or by any means, but put it in a bag, put a Bovidia pack in it, and you would never even know. Again, back to, if I never told you that plant dried in 3 days, you would never even knew that's what happened to it. So I think it comes down to the whole culmination of things. It's A plus B equals C. Fire genetics coming in, fire just environmental controls and stability all the way throughout. And then at the end of the day, you're going to get fire. Whether you have canitrols or anything like that, let's be real. They've been hang drying stuff for years. It works. What I do when I used to hang dry the shit, I just keep a box fan. So that way you just keep air circulation, and I'll walk by the flower and wait till you get the little branch snap, and again, I think a lot of it is people ask me all the time too, what's your ideal cure? And I got asked that yesterday at the event. What's my ideal cure? I told the guy I smoked that shit straight off the dry rack, man, because again, I want to know what my cure is actually going to do. Because how do you know? Like, I'll get people that'll be like, oh, I don't want to touch this for 6 weeks. I want it cured in the dark, this and that. And I'm like, more power to you. But how the fuck do you know what that's actually doing unless you've sampled along that way?
I love this. This is the newest addition to kind of my grow arsenal, is the discovery of cultivar specific cures. Things like OGs, old school diesels, they come off the drying rack. They're good. They're good. They
Took
don't
the
need
words
to
out of my mouth, because I've
degrade
had
and-
strains that are just phenomenal. I'm talking just next level. You're like, if I didn't grow it and hang it and dry it myself, I would have never known that plant literally was a day off the dry rack. And you're like, really? I've won cups with stuff 3 days off my dry rack. You know, the Gorilla Punch I placed in a couple years ago with the American Auto Flower Cup. It was literally 3 days off my dry rack, you know, and it just goes to show certain strains. Yes, I'll have some where you get that more chlorophyll smell and you're like, all right, that's fucked up, you know,
things
but
like hazes and things like that.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of your equatorial strains, they need to be cured for quite a
I
while.
like to think, you know, a 2-3 week cure is perfect, you know, but again, not necessary on most strain, or not, I shouldn't say most, on typical certain strains you'll come across. And unless you're sampling it, you're not going to know. And that's where make every lesson a learning lesson, even when it's coming down to trying to perfect your drying and curing, because again, everybody's environmental factors are different. Unless you're running a machine or you have something that's just dialed into a T, then it's time to experiment, find out. And that's what I tell people. You know, what's going to make you the best grower is finding out what works for you, because I find out what works good for me. But again, we're in different parts, different areas. I mean, I ain't going to go as far as maybe gravitational pull and all that shit. But at the end of the day, we know what we're saying, to where it's like, you know, guys, finding out that niche and how it all works best for you is going to make you the best grower you can be. And that's what I've done. You know, I've just kept it simple. I'll incorporate certain things little by little and figure it out. All right, that works.
The next time someone asks me about my dry and cure game, I'm gonna be like, bro, depends on the phase of the moon. You know?
Exactly. I mean, come on with it.
What's the gravitational pull doing, bro? Your terps are oils, just like the tide comes in and out. You know how sexy you can make bullshit sound? You know?
Fuck,
just like
dude,
the way the tide goes in and out. Your trichomes are just like that. They're filled with fluids, and the moon is pulling on them. So when the moon is,
it's the same thing, you know, to like people ask me, well, do you have a certain time when you cut the plant down? Nah. Whenever the fuck I get out there in the morning and I've had a cup of coffee and a blunt, and I'm going to start cutting them down, you know?
Let me ask you that. Are you scoping trikes? Are you going by pistols? Are you just going by amber? What are you doing to decide?
No, I mean, the trichomes don't lie. You know, now I can kind of look at them because I've grown most of the strains repetitively to where I know, all right, around this certain date, I'm going to start checking. But then it comes down to, all right, what is that? What's it going to be done with? You know, like as far as, is it going to go to competition? Is it going to be made into fresh frozen? Is it going to be this? For me personally, I like that couch lock. So if I know I'm going to make it just some, you know, my personal, just it's going to go into Chubbs's locker and it'll only be flour, I'm going to 20% amber that motherfucker. I want to go comatose with it, you know? If I'm going to go fresh frozen, I'll go, I just learned, you know, a 40-45 is ideal. You want about a 40% clear, 40% cloudy with maybe about a 5% amber. It's going to make the best top quality hash and rosin just from doing it that way. And again, I'm glad I tried it because it seems to work a lot better, you know, a lot more clarity in the rosin. And again, that's where it comes down to. I've had rosin that's super dark and tastes amazing and the effect is amazing. But the way the market's going right now, if that shit ain't just super white and just nice and you know what I mean, just it gets overlooked. And that's a shame. But at the end of the day, that's where, like, when we first started talking, what makes a cup winning bud? Same thing with the rosin. It's got to have the color, the look, you know, the smell, the smokability. No one wants to put something in their dab rig, look in the bottom of it and be like, fuck, it looks like my pipe at the end of the day.
As much as I'd like to say I don't do that, I walked into extract seller Kyle's place last night and he had a bunch of different jars, like probably 12 different jars. And there was the one that was like that cream colored vanilla yogurty. And I was like, ooh, what's that? And you know, was it it probably wasn't even in the top 5 of the firest, but it caught my eye there. And so what about dry? You like the couch locky bud, which would mean you go way deeper with the amber trikes, about 20%, 5% amber if you're just looking for that regular old quality. But what's your dry like? You wet drying, your whole plant hanging, you dry, you know, what's your dry?
I got a few canitrols, so, you know, I'll pack them as full as I can, wet trim them, you know, and again, I'm not sitting there making it competition trim anymore. Like, I'll do that if I know it's going to be entered, but for the most time, I take off anything that doesn't have crystals on it for the most part, just kind of scissors up the side, you know, and what I like to do is generally I'll hang the plant for about a day or two, back to that gravitational pull. as much as I love my canitrols, you know, I don't like the flat spots on my buds. So I've learned if I put them in fresh off, just cut, chop, trimmed, put them in there, you get a good flat spot. And again, personal wise, I don't care. If it's going to go into my grinder, I don't care. But again, people shop with their eyes. So if it's going to go to competition, what I'll do is I'll hang dry it for about a day or two just to get those nugs to form down and let it pull itself in. Then I cut it all off, you know, full branches, and then right into the canitrol, 8 days, and we're cooking with peanut oil.
I love it. I had to shout out to a Lakeside new GramBorg member. Thank you. And then Chunky Nugs throws $10 at us, and he says it's apricot, not apricot.
Oh, I know. As soon as I heard that strain win, man, all right, I've always said it's apricot. They're saying apricot. So we had a whole discussion. I remember I was on the To Be Blunt podcast, and I walked into my wife fucking after the podcast, and I'm like, all right, am I saying this wrong, or am I illiterate as fuck? Because this is how I've said it my whole life. We've kind of learned to conclude it's tomato.
Yes, it's all semantics. There's this girl that we're not dating. This is for the post show, but she always corrects my grammar, and I'm just like, how dare you? How dare you? It's, you know, I'm from Iowa, so it's funny that you talk about the canitrols. I got to experience my first hands-on canitrols, but Scotty got one up at the bakery. We pulled down some of his emergency, some of the gelinade that JR Token is throwing down over there, and I gotta say, I was not dubious. You know, we got to meet the canitrol guys and actually speak on it, and they're talking about water activity and all this stuff. I was like, man, you're dropping the science on me, but I don't know. And so I really know these strains, like inside, especially the emergency. I know that strain like the back of my damn hand, bro. No bullshit. People have been preaching canitrols to me for a while. I was shocked. In 5 days, the goddamn weed was ready. So my buddy, Variant, he specializes in the freak show plants here in Colorado. He's an awesome grower, awesome genetics producer. Type in Variant, Green Cogs Variant into Google. You'll find him. He asks, what settings do you like over there? What's your canitrols thing?
Well, when I do the flower, because again, I got one in my lab that I run, that I do my cold curing on. And here, I'll show you. Let's see. If you can see that, there's my settings. I got a 63 degrees, 45% dew point. The humidity is a little higher than I'd like. I generally like to keep my humidity for my hash, you know, right around the 35, 40% on the lower side. But we've had a lot of cloud cover come in. I live at 4,000 feet, so we get the clouds in at night. Where my grows are, it's just an out metal garage on my property that I have my tents in.
We won't give your city away, but what state you in?
I'm in Cali, Southern California.
My man.
Yeah. So, but again, you know, with the other ones, I just keep it factory settings, you know, and that's what I love about them. I have an HVAC, you know, an appliance repair background. I've been in that industry for many years. So the technology behind the whole canitrol systems, I find very fascinating. Like you said, you know, I've met the owners. Ed is an amazing person. That whole team over there. And like you said, you know, they know the science. It's way beyond my knowledge. I was happy to pass high school just by the grace of God. Let me say,
I'll say if people are interested in it, you can go back. There was the Dude Grows episode where we had them on. They talked about it. And then there's a Jug Dealers podcast episode where we talked about water activity. Water activity is very fascinating. I was learning about honey last night because I get stoned and just go down rabbit holes.
Yeah, you know.
And then I felt like, oh, it's all coming full circle where they're talking about why is it that honey never expires? And one of the number one reason honey never expires is ultra low water activity. This is the ability for molds and spores to be able to find. There's bound water and unbound water. Water that's bound it's not going to increase mold behavior and everything. But the water that's
funny. I've been a big honey fan forever. I got 5 pounds of it sitting in the sitting in the cupboards. When Costco has the bricks of honeycomb and shit on sale, I go buy them, you know, because I'm like, I know it doesn't go bad, and it's a delicious snack. You know, after a nice black and mild, you go in there and get a spoonful. You're like, oh fuck, just delicious, bro.
And so, that's the canitrols thing, man. They specialize in the dew point. And then also, once again, I'm not sponsored by them. You can go to canitrol/Dude Grows. And I don't know if it gets you anything.
That's what I tell people, you know, it's the peace of mind that I enjoy about them. I will say, you know, I keep all my settings the same besides the one in my cold room, like I said. And the only thing I did with that was drop the dew point as low as I could go. And the temperatures, I like to do my cold curing right around 62 for the rosin, It just stays pretty
Yeah.
consistent. And I've learned anything above 70 degrees, you're going to start getting a lot of nucleation, a lot of oxygen. I mean, you get a lot of color changing with that temperature variance, where I've learned the 62 from the time you take it out and the time you consume it, just kind of, it's not too dramatic.
And any nerds out there will know there's we suspect that there could be life in oceans of Jupiter's moon Europa, and Europa is very hot in the middle because of it grows and shrinks, and it creates like a piece of metal when you're twisting metal. And so your trichome heads are the same way. They're expanding and contracting, and then all of a sudden they crack open. And then that's where you get that color. All of a sudden you're losing terps, you're losing esters and thiols, you're losing color.
Another thing, I do with them is I used to just store my product in jars. I had the mason jars of all different sizes, loved it. But I got tired of sitting there burping these things after, harvest. You got 40 jars right there. And you're like, this is just monotonous. And I'm like, I'm done. And then, I've always been a fan of the Bovidia packs, I'll throw a Bovidia pack in there and just keep the moisture, but I've started to learn and I haven't tested it. So I don't know for sure, but I've heard, the packs you'll start losing terpenes. And I'm like, okay, I don't know. I'm going to have to try it. So now I use the Terp Lock bags and I just keep all my stuff in the Canatrols. They keep the perfect temperature, perfect humidity. So it's like, all right, when I'm ready to consume, I'll pull out and we're good, grab a bag, grab whatever you need out of it, just because it stays the consistency.
I think that's the thing that the Canatrols really is going to start putting out into the world. As I've been learning more about the dry and the cure, but more specifically the dry, dew point is huge. Water activity, it's not. This is one of my most recent things is vapor pressure differential, the VPD. I always associated that was that causes the stomata to become open. It's not stomata pressure differential. It's vapor. And so this is more about the water transpiring through the plant and how it activates. It's the same thing with the tissue of the cut flower. I was like, why would VPD and dew point have anything to do with that? That just opens stomata. I was thinking too growerly. And so watch your dew point. I'm going to have episodes coming out about this on GRAMBO Grows, but we're going to do a dry and cure just about dew point.
Super interesting. Super interesting.
Water activity. And so when you showed your Canatrols, it's like the right on there, the dew points. Very fascinating. That's the future. That's some of
and the way they'll explain it, and the way, again, doing air conditioning, I've done it for a lot of years, and I'd never thought about it until they explained it, but RH is not, or humidity is not an exact number. You can have 62% humidity at 90 degrees and you can have 62% at 30 degrees. Whereas dew point, that's that exact science. They can dial that into where it just stays consistent. And again, way above my knowledge, and all that crap. But at the end of the day, I know it works. It takes that peace of mind of knowing, all right, all my efforts and all my hard work that I've put into up to this point, I know it's in good hands. And, Grove Bag and that match made in heaven. Couldn't be happier.
Yeah, it's perfect. And then once again, the thing that Chubb's kind of covered there is try it early. A lot of strains, a lot of cultivars don't require the cure. Not a ton. Most will benefit, from at least a 3 to 6 week cure, but some are right off the plant. They're done. Literally think about it as like they degrade. All cannabinoids start as CBGA, and then they degrade into CBD, into THC. Finally, they roll out with the CBN at the final stage. And that's the same thing with your esters and your thiols there and your terpenes. They're all kind of degrading into their final form. Some don't need it. So try your bud early. If it tastes amazing, don't
what's the worst you're going to do is you're going to lose a joint or a bowl, it's like, come on. Or you might sit there and be like, damn, that plant's going to be gone sooner than I thought because now I don't got to wait 3 weeks.
Exactly. So that's amazing, man. So it does seem that you are a walking advertisement for 420 Fast Buds, man. You're
and again,
potatoes. You're another one of these guys that you're not doing backflips off of motorcycles in your grow room. You're just keeping it simple. And seems like the genetics and the Canatrol dry is your secret weapons.
That's why I said, that's where it comes back to, like I said, and I'll continue to say every time, when people ask me questions all the time, because if anybody out there has questions, never hesitate to reach out. I try to respond to everybody. It's one of those things, because I do medically, my son's been seizure-free for years now. I'm not saying one is any better than the other, nor will I ever say that. I found what I enjoy and I found what I love. So that's what's the fun part is once you find that, the sky's the limit, man. Go for it. See what you're capable of. I mean, if you're going to do it, go all in. If not, why are you doing it?
Right. And don't be afraid to fail, man. This isn't the 90s. If you're paying your rent by your harvest, do what you got to do. Right. But I'd say 85% of the people hearing my voice right now, you're not paying your rent by it.
No, we all have that same passion,
man.
We have that passion. And again, I mean, I don't know. I find that to be the fun part now. I tell everybody, once you get down past the basics of, all right, I know how much light this is going to need. I know how much water I'm going to need to give. I know how much nutrients I'm going to have to give during these weeks. After that, then it becomes really, really enjoyable because you're throwing techniques and seeing, all right, let me go a whole grow trying this technique out and seeing what it does. Let me do this and see what it does. And sometimes they work out really well. And you look back and you're like, well, I'm glad I did try that. And then you look back and you're like, well, fuck, I'll never do that again.
Holy crap, man. Well, I told you before we started that we'd start at quality, we'd go seed to harvest, and I didn't think we'd miss a beat. And we're at an hour 5, my man. That went fast.
Telling you, time flies when we're having fun. I could do this for hours, brother. Like I said, I mean,
I love it.
I don't know. It's that passion that we all enjoy about this amazing plant that's just so cool because, again, we're all on different parts of the world, but we all share that same, I guarantee we all get that same feeling, whether you're opening your grow room door, you're unzipping your tent or whatever you're doing. The minute you see those plants, you're just like, man, I couldn't wait to see how you were doing today. And that's the fun part right there, man. It's like I said, I mean, my sprouts are 5 days old and they're not much, but every little new leaf I see, it just puts a smile on my face. And it's like, it's crazy how much happiness this plant brings us.
It's amazing, man. Some people theorize that cannabis is an alien plant. It's unlike most plants out there. Its strength to weight ratio, its ability to become a medicine, a mortar, a daily fiber. It's everything and everything, protein. And some people think maybe it's an alien panspermia. It flew off from some other far off land on a comet and it landed here. And looking at it, it's like an alien. It's serrated and it's crazy looking. It's got weird fingery things. I love it. I love it. I love it. So the biggest things that you can do right now, guys, definitely go over to Instagram, follow Chubbs. It's Chubbscuss, CHUBBCKAS. Follow him over there and follow his grow diaries. That's one of the more fascinating things that I've encountered. I knew about grow diaries. I didn't know that you could do it open like that.
Oh man, I've actually had my profile for, I think it's going on 6 years now. I got over 130 diaries in there. I'm 16th in the world. So I take it. I'm very prideful. I want to get to top 10 this year. That's one of my goals. So
go over to Grow Diaries, type in Chubbs, follow him over there because that's a huge. If I was a newer grower and I'm growing something that you're growing, and I can just go find exactly what you did. It's like, oh, day 44, something weird happened. Let me go. Oh, Chubbs wrote about this. He said like, oh, humidity was too high, spiked it down. Oh shit. And so I think you can learn a lot about growing from reading someone you trust grow diaries and finding someone you trust. That's one of the hardest part. But like I said, you might be the most award-winning cannabis grower in history, my friend. And I applaud you. And I know everyone in chat and everyone watching. So guys, leave a comment. And if you got any questions for Chubbs, I'm sure I can send them over to Instagram, but follow him over on Instagram, follow him on Grow Diaries, follow me on Instagram. I'm trying to get laid out there. So give me some steeds, and we'll be doing some giveaways. So go hang out over there. So Chubbs, I appreciate you, my friend. We did it. And I can't wait to see how you just keep pushing this thing farther in the future.
As always, brother, much respect. And I appreciate it. Like I said, much respect to what you do, man.
Well, thank you so much. And I'll see you out in the world. Hopefully we can get you at the Dude Grows Cup. Come try to win one of our cups, baby.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you again, man. You guys have a blessed one.
All right. Later, brother. That was a good one, you all. I got to say, that was pretty epic. Once again, remember when I had Grow Fire Farms on? Grow Fire Farms won the Hash Bash at Dude Grows Cup, and he finished second in the flower in the same weekend. And that was his thing. Keep it simple, stupid. John Lindsay's already got his tickets. DGCcup.com. If you guys want to come, tickets will sell out. once again, I get nothing from any of this. I am unsponsored. I'm blessed by the world to be able to get paid by the people that I love, all the DGC producers, all the juggernauts over there on Jug Club. You guys support us, and all the GramBorg members. And I got a shout out to my buddy LJ Jones dropping the 5 gift subs. Lakeside, welcome to the GramBorg, my friend. I appreciate you coming on in. Turptown Josh, which is that's like my nickname. That was my nickname in college. Goddamn, man. Turptown Josh. Love you, buddy. And shout out High Plains Bud. You're going through it. I'm going through it. We got stones, baby. We're stoned with stones. Stoned with Stones podcast coming out. Josh GRAMBO and High Plains Bud. The Stoned with Stones podcast. Not really. I'm too busy. And for all the GramBorg members, I'm heading over. I'm jumping in my car and I'm heading over to the Reserve, Denver, Colorado's brand new private hash gathering. It's going to be all things. It's going to be, we're going to have after parties. We're going to have EDM shows. We're going to have stand-up comedy. We're going to have hash events. We're going to have private dinners. We're going to have benefits, fundraisers, all things cannabis related. It's going to be pretty sick. It's one of the more special things. I don't get excited. You guys know. If you guys know GRAMBO, my plate is full. And extract seller Kyle offered me an opportunity to come in and help him with this project, and I couldn't be more stoked. My plate got double as full, and I don't give a shit, baby, because I love it. It's already off to an amazing start. Events should be coming as early as February. So GramBorg members, I'm jumping in the car. I'm heading over to the Reserve, and we're going to do the post show over there. We're going to do show and tell, show you guys some hash, talk about some events, talk about, making sweet love with beautiful women on coconut. Is that a true story? I don't know. Make sure you subscribe to the GramBorg. It's $5 a month. We tell all sorts of stories, and even the ladies think it's funny. Put the poo emojis in chat. I love you guys. This was an amazing episode. Smoke that like button. You guys know what to do. Smoke that like button. Subscribe if you vibe. And if you really dug this video, roll this video up and pass it to a friend, because sharing is caring. I love you guys. My name's Josh GRAMBO. There's nothing but good vibes up in here. This is GRAMBO Grows, and we end every show with the GramBorg members with me throwing a little dance. Can I dance? Not yet, but I'm starting salsa lessons in the summer. Can't wait. So I love you guys, and GramBorg members, give me about 30 minutes. I'll be heading over to the Reserve, hanging out with Extra XL Kyle. We're going to do a little bit of show and tell. So $5 a month. Click that join button. Subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you guys Tuesday for Jug Dealers, Wednesday for the Dude Grow Show. And wow, that's a lot of poo emojis. Love it. And I'll see you guys next Sunday. We got Root Nerds coming on. Big giveaways. I pinned my Instagram to the top of there. Follow me on Instagram. I'm doing giveaways. A bunch of stuff. We got some cheetah clips, grow clips for plant training. And I got some other stuff. I got one of those sprouter things. I got a sprouter. You guys know what it is. It's coming. It's coming. It's coming. So subscribe over there at Josh GRAMBO on Instagram, because I'm going to be picking people from there. And GramBorg members, you're going to get some hookups as well. Some pretty cool stuff coming from the GramBorg. The GramBorg. Resistance is futile. So I love you guys. I'll see y'all next week. And shout out to the GramBorg members. See you in 30 minutes over at the Reserve. Bye, y'all.
He's the man with the can with the punchline grin. Shred licks lit while the grow lights spin. From Dude Grows to Jug Dealers rise. He's mixing jokes, chords, and cultivation guides. And it's clean, green screen sight. And that theme song hits just right at night. Comedian, grower, and vibe technician. GRAMBO's the go on a ganja mission. Cannabis vibe all around this place, with the riff that burns and a beat with bass. From the buds to the labs to the grow room glow, we salute Josh GRAMBO. Everybody knows, blaze it loud, pass it loud, let the good times roll. Tell a friend, roll it up, that's how we grow. He's the man who does it all, shred a sage and scene. The ordained OG of the cannabis dream. Click play on the channel, hear Cannabis vibe. Theme song thumping like a session come alive. Shout out to the artist who composed that gold. GRAMBO brings warmth even when the grow room's cold. High def laughs keep the whole crew alive. Gives love to the ones who help his art thrive. And now he's ordained, yeah, the holy stoner. Tie the knot while he rips out sweet leaf in the nose. Blaze it loud, pass it loud, let the good times roll. Tell a friend, roll it up, that's how we grow. He's the man who does it all, shred a sage and scene. The ordained OG of the cannabis dream. Click play on the channel, hear Cannabis vibe. Theme song thumping like a session come alive. Shout out to the artist who composed that gold. GRAMBO brings warmth even when the grow room's cold. High def laughs keep the whole crew alive. Gives love to the ones who help his art pride. And now he's ordained, yeah, the holy stoner. Tie the knot while he rips out sweet leaf in the corner. Do you take this straight to be your lifelong high? He'll bless your bud for your vows flow by.